Hello everyone, this is Seth Dark Arts, and I'm back with an 8th video. And first of all, I'd like to say thank you to Ben Reed for shouting out to me. He's the reason I'm making this video now, because he sent me a message saying basically, hey man, giving me good support, and what's up with that 8th video? So this is for you and anyone else out there who's watching. Thanks for the support, everybody. Now, once again, I'm recording. This is my second time making this video. The first time I went with my webcam. Something shut off. So I have two cameras running now, as usual. Computer and cell phone. So if you end up with one with a strange angle, that's probably the cell phone. But anyway, either way, this video is getting out. No one can stop. Alright. Now, where we left off at on the 7th video, I was basically talking about Tora, the talking tiger. That's right, folks, the talking tiger. And this was in one of my otherworld journeys on the other side. And yeah, if you want to know the backstory or the beginning, just refer back to the 7th video towards the end. But yes, where I left off at, Tora had ran off and jumped into a tree and came back. And basically, what happened was he came back with a plastic bag in his mouth with something in it. And he walked up to me very slowly, and he handed me this bag from his mouth. So I took the bag, and inside was instant curry and some snacks. And I like instant curry because they have it over here. And he had instant curry and some other Japanese snacks in the bag. And it was basically a peace offering with him saying, thank you for releasing me from this cage. Now, he did not speak to me this time. The first time we met, he actually spoke with his mouth. But this time, it was more of a feeling type of thing. There was a sort of empathy going on. I could feel, and also a type of telepathy. I could feel what his emotions were conveying to me. And he was basically just saying, thank you for releasing me. Now, I don't know who or what imprisoned him in that cage. I have no idea, but that's where he was, and I let him loose, and I got some snacks as a reward. But right after that moment, I shot back to the body and opened my eyes, and the voice, and in my other videos I talked about the voice that I have communication with my inner self. The first thing it said was, go on the internet and type in Bronx Zoo tiger. So I said, okay. And I typed it in. And I don't have the exact date with me right now, but whatever date that was, the moment I hit enter, there was an immediate hit, many hits. And the day before, I had this out-of-body experience, which was probably at the same time, because of the time difference. But anyway, there was a story the day before of a man who, at the Bronx Zoo in New York, he jumped. They have a type of monorail that goes over the tiger's den area. He jumped off of that down into the tiger's den because he said he wanted to hug a tiger. Now, he didn't die, thank God. He did not die, but he did suffer some pretty serious injuries from his fall. Broken hip and all this type of stuff. The tiger did maul on his foot a little bit, but as I said, most of his injuries were sustained from him jumping into this tiger's den. So he survived. Now, of course, people are going to say, alright, this is what happened. This was a coincidence, and you must have saw this story the day before, and it just went into your subconscious, and you had a dream. I'm like, listen, I know what happened, and I know what I saw. I had no idea about this tiger story. It came to me in an out-of-body experience, exact place, the tiger was there. When I woke up, my inner self told me, go to the internet, type this in, and boom, I had a hit. That's what happened. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. Stop hating. Whoever's watching this video trying to rationalize my experiences or anyone else's, don't be jealous. You have the same abilities. Just stop being ignorant, tap into them, and I'm sure you have some experiences as well that are equally as valid and probably more interesting than mine. Share them. Don't hate. Don't be jealous because other people are telling their stories, and you want to sit around trying to rationalize everything And you're missing out. You're just missing out. Whoever's watching this doing this. Not people who are into this stuff. But I'm talking to those who are sitting down right now, foaming at the mouth, saying, oh no, this is what happened. He saw it on the news and he forgot about it. I did not. And this is my experience. And if you don't like the video, stop watching it and go turn on the news and get some other BS. But this is my experience and this is what happened. So, yeah, for me that was a validity in these things. And there's so many experiences. I mean, of course, when I'm on camera and I'm talking, things slip my mind. That's why I like to sometimes write things down, because I do have important things I would like to share. But yeah, I'll give you one more experience. I had an out-of-body where I was with a friend, and in this reality, we were at a house of his, and he's into music as well. We were sitting down on the floor, and he was teaching me how to play flamenco guitar, classical guitar, flamenco music. And it was very realistic, as usual, 100% aware. The moment I woke up, the first thing I did was I reached over, grabbed my phone, and called him. And he answered the phone. First thing I said was, what are you doing right now? And he says, oh, I'm on my way to the guitar shop right now because I want to buy a new classical guitar, so I can play some flamenco music. Now, this is what happened. I'm not making this up. Whenever I tell stories, I don't make them up because, one, it doesn't help the cause of trying to get people open to these experiences. And two, you don't know if I'm lying, but it just makes me feel stupid personally. It's like, man, I just made up some complete BS, and what am I really helping? So yeah, this is what happened to me. Now, yes, there's another angle I would like to take today. And the angle that I would like to go into is about, how do I say this nicely, but going dark. And when I say going dark, I mean as far as, on the internet you have so many people talking about love and light. And I love love and light. Love and light is good. Yeah, I love that stuff. Peace, love, harmony. I'm a very peaceful person, very happy person, almost never angry. And I hate violence on all calls, on all levels. I don't like it. However, unfortunately, we live in a world that does have people who do want to carry those things out. This is why I say everyone, even if you don't believe in violence, everyone should know at least how to defend themselves, basic self-defense. I'm not saying go out, get a weapon, get a gun, but on the basic level, you should at least know how to defend yourself, because you can be the most number one peace and light loving person in the world. There's always still a possibility that someone who does not believe in that route might approach you one day, or try to hurt you or your family. And it does help if you know some basic moves or techniques to protect yourself. But not only in the physical world you might come across these experiences, you also can come into the experiences in other worlds. And this is what I'm going to get into today. Some people will call it psychic self-defense. I guess that's a type of word some might use, but yes, I don't really hear people talking too much about these things for out-of-body experiences. A lot of people have a lot of interesting out-of-body experiences, of course. They're all interesting, but sometimes people, they don't want to go down that dark path of things that might happen. Now, when I say dark, there's no dark or light. It's all just one energy. Energy is energy. It's neutral. But when I say dark, I'm specifically talking about you might end up in a reality where here you come entering love and light. I'm here on a peaceful mission from the physical dimension. And you might end up in a reality where they're like, who the hell is this guy? Get him! And, you might be caught up in something that you don't like. You might experience something that is not something you really want to get into. And this is why you need to have that portion of yourself that if you're a love and light person and you love to be peaceful, you have to be able to flip that switch on and be like, all right, wherever I'm at right now, these characters are not love and light, and they're trying to hurt me, and I need to get busy right now and wipe the floor with them. And yeah, this is where I believe my first video possibly, I think I went into the subject of telekinesis, teleportation, flying. All these things come in handy. You know, crossing over into other realities, it's not just, okay, I'm out of body and I'm floating, and oh, beautiful lights, and oh, look at that over there. And you have to be prepared for the unexpected. Anything can happen. Literally anything can happen. You can have a peace and light moment right now, talking to these great beings of light, sharing information, and suddenly the whole scene could just go dark. And now you're faced with demons and all these things popping up. And as I said in my other videos, demons are not real in the sense of, yes, they can be real and they can be materialized, but you always have the upper hand over them. And sometimes these are thought forms that have grown into entities of their own based on other people's ideas and beliefs in demons. And every thought has electromagnetic energy, so whatever you think about or what other people have thought about, these things, the moment you stop thinking about them, they take off, man. They shoot their own way and they start building their own little life and system from themselves. So yeah, whenever you have a thought and you stop thinking about it, where do you think that thought goes? We assume that it just disappears and fades into oblivion and that's it. No. Whenever you have these thoughts about demons or ghosts or anything, some negative experience, deaths, they actually do occur in other levels of reality. And basically, once you stop that thought and switch into another frame of thought, they take off in their own direction and continue their path. And depending on how much juice you basically sent this thing packing with and sent on its way, it can really start to materialize a whole little life of its own. And this is what happens. And energy flows where attention goes. So basically, if you are thinking of demons and these type of things from a negative point of view, they can notice you. So you have to see it like this. You have all these infinite worlds. We're surrounded by all this energy. All this energy is everywhere. And it's always looking for something. All energy wants to be noticed, basically. Anything. All energy wants to be noticed and wants to be acknowledged. So here you are. You have this vast range of possibilities and realities surrounding us at all moments. And because of the way society is built, most people, the average Joe or Jane, is not into this stuff, not as deeply. They might enjoy reading about it or watching a quick YouTube video, but practically speaking, many people are not deeply into this. So this is what happens. You have all these people unaware of what's happening around them, and then here you come, this really deep spiritual person, consciousness-aware person, deep into these areas. You are in the middle of a sea of people who are completely oblivious to any of this. And then you start focusing on demons. Oh my God, demons, a demon's going to get me. In the unseen world, beyond the veil, or behind the veil, this energy that's going on about its own life picks up on that. And goes, oh, wait a minute, demons. Somebody has a fear of demons. And it's like a magnet. You call out to it, and it brings itself to you and makes itself known. So, yeah, it's in its own world, and you start thinking of demons or ghosts and all this type of evil, crazy shit going on. And yes, it will say, all right, I got a quick Vic over here. I got an easy victim. Let's go pay him a visit. And it might not necessarily be trying to help you. It's just something that it caught your attention, or you caught its attention. And it said, well, let me go check this person out, see what this source of energy is. What's this person throwing out? And when it makes itself known, boom, you have a demon haunting, and you got all this wild stuff going on. So that's what happens. Now, This is how you handle these things. The telekinesis, the flying, the teleportation, all of these things, and many other abilities that you can acquire. This is your basically this is your self-defense against these things. Like I said before, everything is not love and light, and sometimes love and light. Sorry, I just hit something. Basically, sometimes you don't want to go love and light, man. Sometimes you want to say, you know what? I want to kick some ass. I want to get serious over here. I'm tired of running away from these things and being terrified. I want to fight. I want to go toe to toe. Now, I'm not saying you have to always battle. Sometimes you should talk to these things, talk to these entities, these other thought forms, see where they're coming from, see if they have anything to teach you, because they obviously do have something to teach, because we all have something to learn and to teach as well. And since they're beyond the veil of physical reality, I'm quite sure they have something to offer. But sometimes that's just not your mood, and you don't feel like going that route. Or this thing might be so aggressive, you might say, you know what, let me give this thing a spanking and send it on its way. And yeah, I've never had experiences with demons, and I'll tell you why, basically. They used to appear to me, and, you know, these demons, monsters, all this kind of stuff, but as my powers started growing, I got so, I don't want to say addicted, but maybe. I was so into hunting them down, trying to get information, that I think they basically gave up on me. Because anytime now, in my experiences, when I see something that looks gruesome, horrible, terrifying, I never run away. I'm chasing this thing down. I'm trying to grab it, you know, and it's kind of funny to a point, because I can remember, and I'm not exaggerating, even recently, all the evil things, the so-called evil things that I see that's dark and looks, you know, sinister, once they notice that I'm aware, and this is what's interesting, from my experience, as long as I'm unconscious, you know, when you cross over, sometimes you're in a semi-conscious state. You know that something is unusual. And you're slightly aware, all right, this is not normal physical reality, but you're just playing along with the story. But the moment you actually become fully aware and conscious and you're in this moment, well, for me anyway, these things take off, because it's like they realize, it's like, okay, I've been screwing with this person, and now they're here, consciously aware, I need to get out of here. Because they know what's in store for them, because when I become aware, there's some serious action about to go down. And yeah, I remember this one time, this probably happened last year or something. I had this demon thing that it came at me, and it was funny because it did look scary. I mean, if anyone else would see this in an out-of-body state, they would probably, you know, wet their pants if they're not skilled in these areas and or knowledgeable. And basically, it came at me and it was talking all this crap about what it's gonna do to me, and there's foam and spit flying out its mouth, and yeah, it did look scary. I have to give it that. I will give it an E for effort. You know, very nice. However, when this thing came at me, I simply put out my hand and I did a quick motion and slammed it against the wall, and I pinned it there and it couldn't move. And I remember this as if it was yesterday. I walked up to it very slowly, and I basically said, look, obviously, we can both see who's in control in this reality. And this is what I was saying to this thing. I said, look, obviously, we both see who's in control here. So instead of fighting me, what do you want? And it didn't answer. It kept speaking in tongues. I mean, this was straight movie stuff, man. It was speaking in tongues and going into all these Bible scriptures. And I'm not a religious person, but it went through all the shenanigans. And I asked her one more time. I said, look, do you really want to go this route? Do you want to play these games? And they kept doing the routine. So I simply just took my hand, plunged it into him, I guess into his chest or whatever it was. What appeared to be his chest. And I closed my eyes a little bit and channeled this kind of energy. And something exploded from my hand. And it just, boom, disintegrated into like dust. And it was gone. And at that moment, that's another technique that, well, I'll probably get into it now. there are techniques how you can handle these things instead of being afraid of the demons, ghosts, evil spirits, and all this stuff. If it's really scary, and if you're brave and you want to try this, you can, if you can get a hold of it, you can absorb its energy and pull it into you and see what knowledge it has. And I know this sounds like some comic book stuff, but this is an ability that I have picked up, and I'm sure you could do it as well. If you're, as I said, you have to be very brave to do this, because this means you have to get within grabbing distance, a very close distance. But you can actually grab these things and either get them to tell you knowledge, but if they don't want to play ball and they're giving you a hard time, hey man, why sit here trying to debate? Just strip the knowledge out of it. And you simply do what I did. I just grab a hold of it and channel my energy and just kind of like suck whatever it has into me. And also another technique is if you grab it and just really hold on to it. As you're holding on to this thing, focus on your mind and see what images pop into your mind as you're in this out-of-body state. So you're holding on to this thing, it's probably struggling to get free, and you have to really focus, because at some point, if you focus on this too long, it might just change into something else that's completely different from what it originally was. Example, you might be holding on to a demon or a ghost or a person and really struggling with it, and then boom, it turns into a toy fire truck or something completely stupid like that. So yeah, just see what images you can get out of it, and that's knowledge that's being passed to you. And write these things down when you come back to your physical body. But yeah, that's what happened. Now with the telekinesis thing, I tell you how these abilities work and how these really are real abilities that you build up. Now I said in my other videos that I have the telekinesis and I can throw things in cars, and I told you about the giant that I challenged in this one reality and hit him with a boat. But one thing that I've never tried was I always was moving things. I always moved cars and all these things, but I never actually tried pulling anything to me. And one day, here in physical reality, I was thinking, I said, well, I'm going to try to pull things to me, because sometimes there might be a thing or a person that's a little bit far away, and I want to get to it, but perhaps flying is taking too long, or perhaps I can't fly, or something, but I just want to pull it to me. And it's a good skill to have. And basically, the first experience I had with that was I crossed over into this reality, and I saw my guitar on the floor, and I was going to pick it up, and I said, no, wait, let me try to bring it to me, because I remembered it. And I lifted it up with my hand, and I just kind of went like, moved my hand, flew, and I caught it by the neck, and I thought, well, this is interesting. And in a most recent experience that I had, I was in this reality, and there was, I was on this subway or something, and I flew on top of the subway, and I basically pulled the two of the trains up as they were moving, and this train was flying on these train tracks, and I lifted both of them up, and I was holding them mid-air, and then I threw them. And then I went to somewhere, and there was a girl walking, and I tried to call out to her, but she ignored me, so I kind of just used the power, and boom! I grabbed a hold of her, and it was a definite feeling, and I pulled her to me, and this was so real, man. She went flying, screaming backwards, and right before she hit my body, I just froze her in front of me and turned her around. And of course, this was highly detailed and very real. So I guess I have that power down pat, or I can improve it more, pulling things and people to me. The biggest thing I ever tried to actually bring down was a building once. I remember I went to this reality, and something happened. There was a business conference, and I went inside, and the people started laughing at me or something, so I went a little dark, and I said, I'll teach these guys. And I flew outside in front of this building, very high up in the air, and I put both my hands out, and I was trying to bring down this whole building. It was a big building, but I couldn't. The building shook, and I could see the foundation cracking, but it just wasn't, I felt just like the teleportation when I said in my other video that I tried to teleport but it was pulling too much energy. It was the same deal with this. I was using too much energy and I felt the reality starting to fade out, so I had to leave it alone, and then everything stabilized back. So yeah, that's one that I have to work on. Not saying that's a good thing, destroying a whole building, but it might come in handy someday for some reason in some reality. But yeah, now before I finish up this video, I just want to go into an area that everyone needs to know when they get into this stuff, as far as dreams, out-of-body experiences, other realities. Document everything. Just document it. Even if it seems unimportant, write it down. Don't be like me, how I used to be in the beginning, where I had all these pieces of paper spiraled everywhere, and writing on the back of postcards and postage notes, and everything was unorganized. Get yourself a book. It could be a cheap notebook. I recommend getting a book that is actually something of value that you can take, because if you get a nice book, you will value your experiences more. It won't feel like some shady little thing that you just throw on the side, write a note in, and forget about it. Now this is my book here. This is my book. I don't know if you can see this. Try to get a good view. It's leather bound, and yeah, here's a design. This is a picture of a famous painting. You've probably seen it on the internet before. Not so clear, I'm sorry, but let me see if I can just open this up a little bit. Yeah. It's a very famous woodcut painting, and it's of the sun, and you probably can't see that so clearly, but yeah. And that guy is basically piercing the veil and looking beyond into another reality. But yes, this is my book. Had it for a long time, basically since 2005, I guess. Had a very long time, and it smells good. That's not important. But yeah, it's leather bound, and the name of this company is called Oberon Design. And I found this book in a Barnes & Nobles, and Oberon Design is spelled O-B-E-R-O-N, Design. And their company is in Santa Rosa, California, I guess. And they sell these really nice books, man, where the inside is a hardcover book that can be replaced. And yes, it cost me about $55 to buy this book, but I've had it since 2005, and it's been holding up. And yeah, I have a lot of things written in it. And one of my earlier days, I went into a rage and tore some pages out because I wasn't satisfied with what I wrote. I regret that, but I rewrote everything back in. And yeah, this book has not been finished because I've written down other things and I have to transfer it over. But today, I'm just going to read to you some experiences of mine, or at least one story. And this story is going to be connected to what I was saying about sometimes you want to go dark. And being dark doesn't necessarily mean bad, but sometimes depending on where you're at, you might have to go that route. And this is just a brief story. Well, it's not brief, but I'll try to make it brief, of an out-of-body experiences I had. And I'm going to read it as exactly as I wrote it down at that time. And the title was, I usually put titles in these things. The title was Combined Telekinesis. And here we go. So it says, I crossed over and I was with a woman, and we were talking to 3 guys. At first, they appeared to be really cool guys, but somewhere in the conversation, the mood shifted, and one of them tried to steal my cell phone from my back pocket. They became very aggressive and began watching the woman that I was with. I could feel they were plotting to rape her. I took the woman I was with into a building, and the 3 guys followed me. Suddenly, I began getting that familiar feeling that I usually get right before I become fully conscious. I felt my telekinesis power surging through my body and becoming stronger as I was running to the top floor of this building. I let go of the woman's hand and put her behind me. I turned around and looked towards the 3 guys, and they realized that I had become conscious. They all suddenly began running away, because I could only assume that they knew what fate awaited them. I used both hands, and using telekinesis, I lifted 2 of them off the floor and crushed them in the air in the flash of a moment. We were in a hallway, perhaps on the 3rd floor, and the 3rd guy jumped over the railing so that he could get down to the ground floor lobby and escape. I put out my right hand, and using telekinesis, I caught him mid-air and held him suspended in the air in front of me and over the lobby. He was very heavy, and I felt that I was struggling to hold him in the air. But suddenly, something unexpected happened. I felt the pressure of trying to hold the man in the air lighten to a large degree. From my left side, another man appeared with his hand held out also, and he was also using telekinesis to help support me in stabilizing the guy in the air. He told me that if we combined our powers, it would double our powers and make telekinesis more powerful. I shifted my focus of attention back to the man that I was holding in the air, and I began breaking his arms and legs one by one. I could feel each bone crushing and breaking one by one as he screamed out in pain and as each joint snapped. I eventually crushed his body and dropped him down into the lobby. This mysterious ally then told me that these guys had a safe in a locker in a department store next door, so we left the building and proceeded to the department store. This department store had automatic doors, and I entered alone and walked past the information desk. The 2 women at the desk were watching me very suspiciously. I went to the locker number that my mysterious ally had told me to go to, and I used my telekinesis to tear off the locker doors and rip open the safe. The level of detail as I was doing all of this was absolutely amazing and very realistic. To my surprise, the contents in the safe were cooking ingredients for a special type of chocolate. I decided to take them anyway because I thought they might come in handy later. As I was leaving, the women at the information desk had already called security. As I approached the entrance to leave, a large metal gate had closed down over the front entrance in an attempt to lock me in. I remember laughing to myself at how useless this was, and I simply put out both hands and used telekinesis to rip open the metal gate, and then I blew out the front doors. There was glass and metal flying everywhere, and people were running and screaming. I met up with my new ally outside and told him what was in the safe. He said we should keep the ingredients in case I decided to open a restaurant in the future. We began walking down a hill, and we were discussing how we were going to create a new world with our new combined powers. I remember specifically saying that for a start, the first thing we were going to do was to make healthcare and medicine free for everyone in the world, so that no one would have to suffer any illnesses or health problems. Well, that was my experience and one of my out-of-body stories. Now, I know a lot of people might say, damn, man, this was some dark stuff. But it had a happy ending. I was trying to help the world and decided to create this new world with my new ally and free medical care, medicine, and health care for everyone. But also to share with you, the point of this story is that you don't have to always be love and light, and there's nothing to be ashamed of. If you want to go dark, then go dark. What's the purpose of having these experiences, whether it's dreams or out-of-body experiences, if you have to always be love, light, positive energy, and all this stuff, and these other entities or realities are coming at you, not with the same effect? Sometimes you need that release. We can't release that type of energy here in the physical world because, 1, we shouldn't hurt other people, and 2, you will go to prison if you did. But in these other realities, yes, we should respect them and the entities we come across, but if they're coming at us not from that angle, then I say, hey, all things are open then, and you could basically just handle them as you see fit. Especially when you know that you're coming back to the physical reality and nothing can happen to you. And because also that you're a God as well. So that's all I have to say for now. I don't want to go too long into this. I hope I gave enough little tidbits to keep people interested. And as usual, thank you for support, people who watch my videos. It's not even about how many subscribers I have. if only one person can learn from these videos and take something from them, then I'm very honored, and I'm very happy also that at least one person. Because when you understand the true nature of time and space, that there is no time and space, you realize that helping one person doesn't just help that one person, you also help multiple realities and probable realities that they are connected with. So thank you. Comments, feedback, let me know what you want to hear about, what you want me to go into. And yes, everything doesn't have to be love and light. Sometimes you need to release that. As I said, there's no negative or positive, but what we perceive to be negative dark side energy, sometimes you need to let that loose. Because if you don't, it will manifest itself in physical reality. And that's when people get hurt or hurt themselves. So let it go. Let loose. Use your powers. Build new powers. Let me know what powers you've come into. Let's share. And yes, don't run from demons, monsters, or ghosts, or rapists, or serial killers. When you're in these other out-of-body experiences, take them head on and you might learn something. And as far as physical reality goes, if you have fear of these things, take up a minor self-defense course, learn how to protect yourself. But yeah, don't be afraid of anything. There's nothing to fear and no one can hurt you. Alright, I love all of you. Peace, love, and harmony. Take care.